Hey, what's up, shitheads? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we got a special video for you because I'm introducing a new bike to the channel. This is my new MotorGoat V3. Now, I actually ordered this bike back in March and it just now showed up over 2 months later. So this one's been quite the wait. And guys, truth be told, at first when I saw this bike, I saw a lot of people were interested in it, and at the time I was like, you know what, it's not really my style. I'm more of a traditional pedal bike type of guy. That opinion's changed a bit in the last couple days because this is going to be now the third time I've ridden my bike to work in the morning. But today, guys, you get to come along with me, and I'm going to share some of my initial impression on the MotorGoat V3. What do you think, guys? Does that sound like a good time to you? Well, come on, guys, get ready. Let's get going. All right, guys, we are on the MotorGoat V3, and you know what? Bike requires the key. So I keep forgetting the keys because I am not used to using the keys on these bikes. So turn on the key, you can turn on the power, and then you're good to go. I don't want to put the key on my key ring because I don't want to have all my keys dangling off of this. So I always keep the keys separate. So that's something I haven't found a solution to yet. And it's the same thing on the E-Ride Pro. I keep forgetting the key. I'll bring everything downstairs to go ride, and then I, forget the key. But yeah, we're off. Nice stop, buddy. Well, welcome to my area where people don't stop at stop signs, so you got to be extra vigilant if you're riding a bike around. Luckily, I could hear his obnoxious music from blocks away, so I knew he was coming. But let me explain to you first why I wasn't very excited about this bike when it first came out. So my first e-bike was my Turbo Levo, which is basically, your first step into the e-bike world from a traditional bike. It's a mid-drive, good at climbing hills and all that, no throttle. So then I got the Wired Cruiser, which is a throttle bike. You end up using the throttle more, you're going faster, you're relying less on your legs. And then when I saw people were getting excited about this bike, I was like, you know what, pedaling's almost an afterthought on this bike. This bike is pretty much a moped that has pedals on it. As a matter of fact, pedals are even an option on this bike. So I wasn't really thrilled at the aspect of getting a bike that you're not really pedaling. But I have to say that's kind of changed because yes, you're not really pedaling, but this bike is still a ton of fun. This bike is great for commuting around town and just zipping around at higher speeds. But I do have to say, this bike does have pedals, but this bike you're gonna start ghost pedaling on this bike around like 20 miles an hour. So it's actually kind of funny. So this bike has a big old 20 by 4.5 inch tire in the back, and these are all street tread on these tires. This bike is definitely not designed to be riding off-road. It has actually a nice fast-aced rear shock, but I have to tell you guys, the spring that comes on this thing is really heavy. This thing is set up for somebody who weighs 300 and something pounds because I'm 240 with my gear and it feels stiff for me, and I have the compression wide open. Look at that, I'm pushing on it pretty hard and it's barely moving. Another funny thing I saw is this has provisions for a license plate, but if you look here, where the license plate or whatever mounts, there's this little plastic part on the bottom of this bracket, kept hitting the rear fender, so I'd hear it rattling around and you can actually see where it was hitting. So I just tore that off. And another thing that was rattling around is the controller is located in here, and it doesn't appear to be bolted down because it was kind of just flopping around. So what I did is I got a couple zip ties and I zip tied it down, and this is the first time I've ridden it with it zip tied, and it's no longer making noise. So you almost got all the rattles out of this bike. It's one of the things I can't stand when you're riding a bike and you're hearing a bunch of stuff rattle. It's got this nice plush seat here with this diamond pleating on it, which is pretty nice. I enjoy this. This seat's pretty nice. But overall, the fit and finish on this bike, you can just tell this is not, the typical Chinese e-bike you get. The fit and finish on this bike is a step further. I did have to tighten down. I'm not really a huge fan of how this battery mounts down. You can see it's kind of loose here, but it was even looser when I first got it. I tightened down the brackets underneath it, so it's better now. But overall, yes, the fit and finish is pretty nice on this bike. And one of the main things that sets this bike apart from the others is not only that it's designed for higher speed, is it has a direct drive motor. What that means is there's no gears in the rear hub motor, so that equates to a little less torque off the start, but it has a higher RPM potential, so higher top speeds. But I have to tell you guys, Where I kind of do notice it doesn't just like jolt you off the line. This bike is still pretty quick. Like, I don't feel like this is lacking in acceleration. And as of right now, this is the completely stock iteration of the MotorGoat V3. It has a different noise to the motor than you're used to. You know, I really only hear the motor like right off the start. It makes a different type of noise, but once you're going, there's not really much of a noise at all. I'm in power mode 2 right now, which kind of seems like it tops off right around 30 miles an hour, which is what I kind of find myself riding in unless I need to go faster than that, and then I put it in power assist level 3. There's 3 levels, and it's all color coded here. So level 1's green, green's for safe people. Blue for 2, which is, you know, we're getting there, and then red for danger, and power assist 3. 3 is pretty quick, guys. The funny thing is with this is like the power band just keeps going on this bike. It's a different feeling than those geared hub motors, that's for sure. But one thing I do notice with this bike, I pretty much always have it in 7th gear. I never downshift. It's just, we're doing 23 right now, and look at my RPM pedaling. It's just, yeah, the pedaling's just funny on this bike. Yeah, I'm moving my legs, but it's like I'm doing nothing. Especially at the speeds this bike is good for riding at. But I have to say, I'm enjoying these street tires, and this bike, you know, it's like it's a little motorcycle. That's what this bike is. It's a little motorcycle. I'm enjoying riding this one to the gym because when I ride my E-Ride Pro to the gym, I kind of have to keep my head on a swivel. It's in a gray area whether or not I can ride that to the gym. With this bike, you know, this is a e-bike, it's got pedals. I'll ride this at 40 right past a cop and not think twice about it, which is kind of funny because it's like at that point it's like comes down to just what the bike looks like, not the actual legalities of anything. It's like, oh, if it looks like a dirt bike, then you can get in trouble. But hey, if it looks like a bike, then go as fast as you want, when essentially you're doing the exact same thing either way. Yeah, look, I'm pedaling, guys. I'm just a really good bicyclist, guys. Yeah, obviously the ergonomics of pedaling on this bike are not the best, but it is what it is. You're not going to get this bike to maximize the efficiency of your pedal stroke, I'll tell you that much. It's like you're just cosplaying as a little cafe racer as you zip around town. Now, I've ridden a couple of moped-style dirt e-bikes at this point, but this one I think is one of the first ones that actually like really gets it. This bike does what it looks like. It gives you the functionality and fun of a little motorcycle. You know, a lot of the times I ride these bikes a couple of times before I start filming videos because I like to adjust everything and, you know, give them a fair shake, because if you just get on these bikes and start riding, chances are stuff's going to be rattling around or you're going to have some gripes with the bike. So I like to give them a couple of tries before I actually make videos on them. Yeah, this is the 3rd time I've ridden this one. This bike is super quiet. So I know a lot of people shunt mod the controllers on these to get even more power out of them. For me, I'm going to be leaving it stock at least until I do a review. It's sleepy time for that guy. We're going to be doing some extreme off-road right here. Power level 3 now. I'm going to just do this throttle only here and see how fast we can get going. 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Well, I saw 43 there for a second. Yeah, this bike is quick, guys. And I'm really liking this display. This display pretty much gives you all the information you need. And it has a different, you know, it has a different look than the majority of e-bike displays that you see. It's got your speedometer right in the middle, and it's got a, you know, digital readout like it would be an analog speedometer in a car. It shows you the wattage output. It shows your battery voltage. Yeah, this one's got everything you want out of a display. It's got a horn. It's even got blinkers here, and you can see here on the side, the blinkers will show you which direction, or show the people behind you rather, which direction you're going. And one thing I do enjoy with this bike is it's got this little like hazard switch here. And to me, this reminds me of back when you would street race in cars, the winner would hit the hazard light. So as soon as you win your race, guys, just hit your hazards and you're good to let everyone know that you are the winner. Get a sense of how quiet this bike is. or this little mini motorcycle rather. Another thing I wanted to point out real fast is when I put this all together, I noticed there's these extra plugs here in the front. So I haven't reached out to Bryson over at Goat Power Bikes to see what these are for exactly. Everything works, blinkers work, everything's working. So I don't know what they're for. And no, I didn't read the instructions. First off, that implies I can read. And second off, that implies that, oh, what do you think, I'm a nerd? I sit around reading instruction manuals? No, guys, these bikes show up, I start installing them, and then if there's any problems, I figure it out with my brain. I don't rely on reading because I can't read, okay? So yeah, there appears to be a couple extra plugs on here, and at some point we'll probably figure out what those are for. Oh yeah, I also put these pegs on the back too. So when I get all those passengers, they'll hop on, ladies. I don't think I'll be testing my luck off-road on this. For a couple reasons. It's got really stiff suspension, at least in the rear, and it's got street tires, and let's face it, this bike's not set up for being off-road. So I feel like the stiff suspension in this is more like, you know, how a race car would have stiff suspension, and an off-road car is going to have soft suspension. So, you know, it works for what it is. Oh yeah, this hill here, this is a pretty steep hill. This bike has absolutely no problem going up it at all. I can accelerate up this hill if I want to. So yeah, this bike definitely has no problems climbing stuff. This bike is definitely heavier than it looks too. This bike weighs over, I think, 105 pounds or something. Don't quote me on that. So yeah, this bike is not as light as you'd kind of think it would be just by gauging off the form factor of the bike. Well, I find myself cruising at like 25 miles an hour on those other 60 volt e-bikes. This bike cruises at 30, no problem, and that's in pedal assist 2. On 3, you're going 35, easy, 40 miles an hour. So yeah, this bike is definitely faster speed-wise than those other bikes. Oh yeah, and I wanted to mention, the brakes on this bike are really good. It's got 4-piston brakes, front and rear, that are making weird noises after hitting them right there. Well, oddly enough, I had to just stop and adjust the brakes, which was goes back to my point of, you know, the first few times you ride these bikes, guys, be prepared to make some adjustments. So caliper bolt must have been a little loose because the brake pad was rubbing against the rotor. Pretty annoying noise. But I wanted to highlight, this has motorcycle style brakes. The rear brakes on the left, front brakes on the right. But before we test the brakes, let's see how fast we can get going here. Right by this speedometer sign here. So we're already doing 40. There we go, 40, 39, 42, 43, 44, on this 45 right there, guys. We're going downhill a little bit. So yeah, and let's test the brakes. These brakes are pretty good. So I wanted to point out something that's kind of funny on this bike. It's a side effect of the street tire here. So once I know this guy's not... So listen to this when you hit the rear brake really hard and it locks up. It makes a nice squealing sound. It's pretty funny. So we'll be having some fun with that at some point. We are here at the gym. So I have to lock this one up at the end of the rack. Let me show you the process I use to lock it up. So I use this hip lock D1000. This is my primary lock. This is a graphene infused, really resistant to cutting attacks. It'll take you like 10 minutes and multiple grinder wheels to cut, and you'd have to cut this on 2 sides if you want to remove it. So most thieves are not going to be doing that. I put this around the center section of the frame right here, and then I run the cable through the front wheel. If you look here, there is not an incredible amount of room to work with. So one negative of this hip lock is it's not the biggest lock. But so far I've been able to lock up the E-cells, the wired, the E-ride, and now the Goat. But you know, if you have that additional battery down here, will it still fit? I'm not sure. So there's my primary lock. And then secondary lock, this bike does come with a frame lock or a wheel lock. I'm not currently using that, as you can see, because I use my old kryptonite lock here, and I run this one through the wheel, and I even lock my helmet onto it here. So yes, you can still lock up this bike, but it is a little bit more difficult to lock up than the other bikes. But you know, that's enough small talk. I gotta go work out. I'll catch up with you guys in a little bit. All right guys, we're back on the go. Just left the gym, and unfortunately, my little break job I did on the way in set me quite a bit behind schedule, so we're gonna have to be making some quick time on the way home. And what better way to showcase what this bike is good at doing? This bike is good at hauling ass and making the rear tire squeal. You know, I'm just gonna go in 3 the whole way. So one way to the gym, 6 miles, puts us at 91%, 68.4 volts. So guys, this, like I said before, this is a 60 volt system. I don't know why they call it 60 volt, because really it's a 63.4 volt. It's a 17 series, so it's really just a tad bit higher voltage than your typical 60 volt bike. So whatever reason, they still market it as a 60 volt, but it's technically a little bit higher, which means a little more power, a little more RPM. This is my 3rd day going in, like I've said before, and I think I've successfully gotten rid of pretty much all the creaks and rattles on this bike. The last one being that controller just sitting in that box in the rear. I don't know why they set it up like that. Here we go, guys. We're going 38, 40. We're just cooking, guys. Did you notice this watt meter? It seems to max out at 3,000 watts. I believe this is a 60 volt, 50 amp controller. So 60 times 50 is right around 3,000 watts. So this thing puts out, I don't know what the actual peak number is. I'll have to look it up. And man, look at that. We're just cruising at 43 miles an hour right now. This thing is smooth and quiet. Man, woo, it's fun to take turns on this thing too. You really do feel like you're on a little cafe racer. Look guys, I'm helping by pedaling. It's kind of weird, like you end up pedaling on this bike, but it's like, just because you're used to pedaling, you're not really doing anything. Hey, but I'm helping. Woo, 40 mile an hour curb. Oh man. I'm just gonna stay on the road here because I'm going so fast. Feel a little bit of wind resistance right now, but hey, we're doing about 38, 39. This bike is fast, guys. I'm kind of interested to see what kind of range I'm going to get out of this as well. So I'll be doing a range test at some point. Let's see. Let me tell you, this thing has no trouble getting up and going. I'd like the look of this battery here, but look at that. I don't like how it just wobbles around. I wish there was a way to like really just cinch this thing down so it doesn't move at all. So I know, man, this thing is so quiet, like people don't hear you coming up. I guess you can use the horn, or you can give them an old tire squeal. Look at this. Guys, I'm helping. And it's showing 67.6 volts. Yeah, you see I'm letting off the gas. I don't know, or the throttle. I don't think that's real time actually updating the voltage, or maybe there's a little buffer in there so it doesn't fluctuate so much. Jury is still out on the accuracy of the battery gauge and volt gauge on this bike. This bike just hauls ass, it's fun. So if you got yourself some short commutes to make around town, look no further than the Motor Goat V3. Ooh, got up to 42 there. It's like you're just zipping around. I do like the seat. The seat has a decent amount of cushion on it. This is one of the first e-bike seats I've used that is fairly comfortable. It's like for what this bike is, this is a good seat. Now look at this, guys, 42 miles an hour. Oh, now we're showing 87%, so I'm guessing there's some sort of buffer in that battery gauge so it doesn't just wildly fluctuate. We're going slightly uphill right now and we're maintaining 40. Which is funny, I think this is a 35 mile an hour speed limit here. Nobody's going the speed limit in Antioch. 42, 40, now we're going downhill a little bit. 45. 45, baby. Just cruising right along, fellas. Guys, I'm a YouTuber. I gotta go. I'm just a really strong bicyclist, guys. Really good shape. Now we're showing 84%. Still pretty good because you've seen how I'm riding. I've been pretty much full throttle the whole time. And I'm 6'2", This bike is a very comfortable fit for me sitting at this stoplight right now. Both feet are comfortably on the ground. When I'm riding, I'm definitely in a more hunched over position, but I think that's how you're supposed to ride these types of bikes. Yeah, I agree.
Hey, that's pretty fucking cool.
Hey, thanks, man. See, that guy thinks it's pretty fucking cool. I know Bruce, good old Bruce Eclectic, or which I like to should be Bruce Electric. He has one of these bikes, and he has that thing strapped down with baskets and just stuff all over the place. And he uses it for long range rides with the extra battery. But so far, for my use case scenario with the single battery, this bike is more than enough. But we're gonna see. I'm gonna do a full range test, see how much range I get. And you know what, guys? If I like this bike enough. If I like this bike enough, I might get an extra battery. Listen, let's do it again. Am I a bad person? So you guys have it. That's one of my initial rides on the MotorGoat V3. If you're interested in picking one of these up for yourself, you can go to goatpowerbikes.com and use coupon code SHOOTTHECHIT for 5% off. I think right now these are listed at $24.99. I'm not sure if that's going to go up when the tariffs increase, but as of right now, $24.99. My coupon code will save you about 125 bucks. Anyways, guys, I gotta get to work. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one. Hey, look. Yeah. Hey, gotta pay the bill somehow.